Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live Facebook as well as the special live talk with the USMART audience. Okay, I'd like to welcome all of you. And tonight we have our special guest also joining us, Mr. Kevin Tan from USMART, an investment analyst. So it will be a two-part speaking for tonight. For those of you who are new with us, especially those listening from USMART, for your information, a little bit of backdrop. TradeVSA, which is the fintech company based off in Kuala Lumpur, and we have entered a collaboration partnership with USMART to promote the ever importance of trading correctly. And let me just mute all the audience here so that we can get everyone to. Okay, we need to, let me just do this properly first. Okay, I think I know that. Okay. Okay, so what we are basically doing right now is to present you a two-parts perspective, both from myself, the TradeVSA, stock trade idea provider, both for the US market, the Bursa market, the SGX, and the KLSE. So for tonight, we're going to be starting off. So we have two parts of the presentation, as I said before. We have the USMART audience, which came in through the Zoom, as well as we have our regular live Facebook audience from our TradeVSA in here. So I'd like to welcome both audience, the USMART, as well our regular live FB, and also not to forget our TradeVSA members in here. So let's get started, shall we? All right. So definitely for tonight, it is a stock trade idea. Myself and Kevin was really talking about, how and what are the things that we want to get our audience and our members, as well as our investor and trader, to be excited in this coming of at least the first month of the Q4, which is the fourth quarter of 2024. And traditionally, if you look back in terms of the historical backtesting as well as a seasonality, you would find the month of October, or at least in Q4, tend to be the bullish. Now, I can say as much as I can, but I just really want to prove it to you with the facts that I presented in here. So tonight will be a lot of talks about what to expect in here. And the agenda for tonight is that the continuing worrying about the US market. I think that's the one that we're talking about. So I will touch upon whether there is a US recession in store for us and what's out there in Q4 2023. And in the coming months, of course, we'll also be seeing the US pre-presidential election year, the 2024, which is only about 3 months away. So it's a very important year. So we're going to look at what are the past trend were. And of course, your trend is your friend, and looking at it historical, it's been really, really insightful to know all this, at least for our TradeVSA members and the audience of the USMART. These factors is important to know ahead. And also, last but not least, is the US sector that are favorable, which is also important. And then Kevin is going to join us at 10:30 hours and present his viewpoint as well as his insight ahead of. Now, of course, for our new members, as well as those from USMART, we'd like to welcome you and get you to download the Smart Robie apps. And if you download, put in the referral code USMART, you will get 100 bonus Smart Robie credit, which is worth about $2 in here to get you started on the US S&P 500, as well as also the SGX, as well as the KLSE, and that will put you more into place, because some of the stocks trade idea that we will be talking about will be purely from the Smart apps. Many of you, especially from the TradeVSA members in Malaysia, may have known about it. But for our USMART audience, or at least in the Cosmo SensePoint community, this may be something new. Maybe you want to try and download this Smart Robie app. Is absolutely free for you to use, and just make sure you use the USMART referral code here. Now, of course, let's get on to where we are right now. And we all know on October 7th, that was the first time we get the news of the Hamas attack on Israel, which has never have been before. And of course, there were lots of protests, both from every part of the world, especially even from our Prime Minister in Malaysia, did talk about the intrusion, and also the United Nations Secretary highlight for it. But like it or not, the war or the conflict has already started in Middle East. And from a perspective also a trader and investor, these are really important times, or at least more from it. And of course, many trader and also investor will be talking, at least, is this going to cause a crash in the stock market, or maybe it's going to push up because the 911 that we had. And remember, last year in 2022, somewhere in February 24th, you all remember, right? February 24th, 2022 was the same thing that happened between the Russian and Ukraine war. Now that this recent conflict that just happened on October 7, 2023, the Russian and Ukraine war has certainly taken a backseat in here. So with all this backdrop in here, what's really happening into the market, right? And right now, if you look into the Bloomberg, NASDAQ futures seem to be sleeping. And of course, the market is really struggling to move upwards. After all, we did have a nice move, way back in the month of January, even up to June. Then we have a little bit of a down peak from then onwards to the so-called August month. I think August month will mark a pullback a bit, and also the month of October. These are the very scary months. Now, of course, the real focus right now will be the October month. And will the October month be that bear month that disrupt this market have we seen so far? So you can see from here, this is one of the pictures I show you. The bear is coming and stepping into the doorsteps in here. So is this still part of the bull market? What we call a little bit of correction, or the bear is ready to take over? I think that's important for you to sort of get the perspective where we are. Now, keep in mind in perspective, right, where we are today. In terms of the NASDAQ, you can see NASDAQ this year is up almost 35%. So it's still pretty much in a nice bull market as we see. But of course, the backdrop with it is a recession, which you see a lot on the Bloomberg, on the Channel News Asia. You also see it in the CNN as well as CNBC. So those are the talking point, and where people are saying it's recession or not. So I'm going to give you my best take, right, following the work of one very famous economist. His name is Michael Kantorowicz. It's pretty difficult to pronounce it, but I'm going to share with you in here. But more importantly is the bull market, right? The NASDAQ is up 34%, and on top, so the S&P 500, which is the price return is about 10.63%, but we do get a 1.6, so that's giving it a 12% return. It is still a very decent bull market, but of course, you see this bear in here will be fall to a level much lower than what we started in. That's the real question, and that's the trend is. And also thank you for our TradeVSA fans who continue to come and support us on our live FB, as well as the USMART audience in here. I'd like to welcome you first time to this community, a joint session between myself and Kevin Tan from USMART. Okay, let's really push on in here. Now, before that, I just want to share with you a very famous economist. His name is Michael Kantorowicz, and he's an economist, and a lot of his work is really on predicting recession using data analysis in here. And what he basically say that in order to see a recession really coming in, there has to be four things, which is what he call hope. Hope is HOPE, right? If you look into the left-hand side here, first of all, he has to see housing activity collapse. Then there is new order. The new order, either the new order, factory order, or the housing order do slow down. Then we see the profit drops and then the unemployment increases, then we reach on to a hard landing, which is really another word for recession in here. Because in the past, recession has really pulled down that market. We've seen last year, right, when the Ukraine war came in and the market fell 30-40% in here, but we averted a recession, yet it still feels like a recession right now. Fast forward now to 2023 in here, so there are still talk about what's really happening is the recession coming in here. So Michael shared a very important word, and to keep the presentation tonight to a very lively and not going through the details in here, just present some of the facts that is important for our audience to understand, is that to understand that there is a change of event that leading to probably a recession, which is highlighted by Michael in this hope time frame. First of all, he said that housing has to come down, new order has to come down, profit has to come down, and then employment also has to come down. So one of the key things he said before right now is to focus on the unemployment rate. So we need to watch out for the employment rate in the US for the first clue of the recession in here. So that's where it is. You can find out more about the Hope Framework also on YouTube. Just make sure you type the Hope Framework and you're able to find out. It's almost a 1-hour presentation in here. Now, from a recession definition, these events need to perpetuate, which is many of you may have known, is like we have 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, where the GDP strength either -1% or -1-2% in here. And recession is actually a very vicious cycle. You can see as people go through the loss of confidence, which is also what we are seeing in China right now. The China slowdown, people are buying less, business are suffering, jobs are losses, and that's really what we call a recession in here. So one of the clues that we were talking about is really looking at the unemployment rate. Now here is from the tradingeconomics.com, and definitely you can see one clue is the unemployment has to rise, denoted by the red arrow that you see right at the bottom in here, right? So you can see that the biggest drop that they have, the biggest rise in terms of the unemployment was during the COVID, right? That was in March 2020, and it shots up to almost 14%. But since then, it is really below the 4% mark, which has always been the traditional. So one of the key things is watch out for the unemployment. If the unemployment starts to kick up, that is the first the sign of the unemployment. The second clue is the US corporate profit has to deteriorate, right? The US corporate has to deteriorate. So you can see from here onwards, what we have seen is the last 2 quarters definitely drop more than it is, and because also we have the ongoing war, and right now we also have the conflict that we see in the Middle East may also impact. But based on the information that what we've seen so far right now, right, we can conclude we are not seeing this sign. Firstly, we have a flat unemployment rate, have a flat unemployment rate, which means it is staying below the 4%. In terms of the corporate profit, we yet to see in this coming Q4, at the end of the Q4. Definitely the Q3 and the Q2 was lower, and that's why we saw this market also fall. But more importantly, if you look at that, the market was actually a nice uptrend here, right? And of course, this was punctuated by the COVID-19 sometime in 2020. So if not, the market will continue to go up. And that's why my prognosis to the market is that US market or US corporate profit is actually one of the strongest in the world. As many of you know, the US market, especially in the stock market, has been one of the best performer compared to many of the stock exchanges in the world. So that perhaps is a really good sign of what's really happening in here. So going on this, in the coming months, especially the month of November, December 2023, the market may just go sideways at worst, okay, at worst. I don't think it's going to collapse. Despite what you hear in the some of those what they call doomslayer economists is saying that the stock market or S&P 500 can drop by another 50% or 60%, or the valuation is too high in that sense. But we really have to base on fact and not just based on hunch in here. And many of times, these so-called doomslayer, right, is continue to just give them their opinion. Make sure you check out my YouTube where I cover the doomslayer and how many times they were wrong. Definitely one of them is Robert Kiyosaki, which has always been very famous of saying the market's going to crash, the market's going to crash, buy, go, buy, go. At one point in time, they may be right? But remember, broken clocks is also right twice a day, broken clock, okay? So we have to keep in mind. So everything, you have to look into the facts, we look into the chart, then we can able to put our basis here. But after all, a sideways market predicted for the month of Q4 2024. But do take note, year 2024 is what we call the pre-election year, right? It's a year preceding to the election and election again. We all know it's in November 2024. It's either the 2nd of November 24. Plus, we are right now also coming to the month of November and April, which is what considered one of the most bullish months in 2024. So right now, if you look at this, is the S&P 500 of a 4-year cycle going back to 2021. And right now, the market is still spot on. Now, remember, the S&P 500 for 2023 is up almost 10 to 12%, depending what number you're looking. So we are pretty much in here. And if you can see the election year, which is this year here, okay, the election year, it continued to go higher. So the market may be somewhere around here. So we are seeing 2024, right? The pre-election year, where I do think President Biden will do whatever it can to prop up the economy, to prop up the stock market, then we should have a very good year. If the stock market were to collapse, do you think he will get elected for a second term or not? I think that's also important. Now, I've said before in the past, a lot of the US Congress, many of these people, the US Congress, all gangbang together in the stock market. So they have a lot of personal stake in the stock market, and many times their wealth are actually tied into how much they have a certain position in one of those big corporate in here. And that's why, I always say before, US is definitely one market that is very, very interesting to watch out for, okay? Now, having said that, the historical backtesting over the last 16 years, going back to 2000 and 2025, and you can see the breakdown of the May effect. Now, the May effect simply tells you from November to April, which is the black line here. If you look at this, is the US, and for our Malaysian friends, this is the Malaysian market. Unfortunately, I don't have anything from Singapore or even Hong Kong here. Yeah, Hong Kong, you notice. And you'll see also the orange one is the May to October. May to October, that's the one that you can see which has the least growth. You can see from here, this is almost a 6% gain in Hong Kong. US is about 5% gain, okay? And you can see Malaysia is about 7% gain. And this is a historical testing. So what this simply means is looking back at the seasonal year, or at least the last 6 months, November to April present the most bullish time. Now, on top of that, we have also the pre-election year 2024. So that's why going into the next 3 months, I know right now with the conflict, with the backdrop of the Russian-Ukraine war, we have 2 wars now concurrently running. We got oil prices try to hit $95, couldn't go up, coming back to 85. We have also gold trying to go to 2,000. And at the same time, some of the major earnings, which is going to be releasing this weekend, like Facebook, Meta, Nvidia, it all is weighing down on it. And also don't forget the China ban on iPhone among the government staff, that is also weighing down. Now remember, stock market usually climb on the wall of worry. All right, this kind of worry is good. But more importantly, we stay focused on those facts that are presented in here. You can always watch this back again. I always archive it into the YouTube at TradeVSA. If not, just go over to YouTube at TradeVSA in here and smack that subscribe button so you're informed of our latest video that we do in here. So having said that, it's hard to believe, right? But facts are facts. Usually after the scary September, which we all know about it, right? And also right now it's October. Then the coming months, you can see from here, right? In the coming months, November is the month we are looking for. And then December, depending, the last 5 years, December been very poor. So we might see a poor December in here. Then you got the January, right? You got the February, but then you got the March and the April. good months in here. We got pullback in the month of February in here. So that will sort of give you a prognosis in here in the coming months. All right. So I'm not that bearish as most people say. I'm trying to put out these facts so you can understand them well, much better. If you like what I'm listening in here, give me a thumbs up, especially to our new USMART audience in here. If you have a couple of questions in here, feel free to type it in there. I'm happy to answer you in here. So going forward, TradeVSA, what we do is that we have a mobile apps called Smart Robie, and it is one of our flagship apps of TradeVSA, and we cover 4 markets: the KLSE, which is the Bursa market. We have the S&P 500, which is the focus of tonight talk in here. We have the XGX and the Hong Kong exchange in here. So what makes it so unique about Smart Robie in here? We have Smart Robie, which is powered by our Pentagon guided system, which is the real heart and engine that helps investor and trader, right, to read charts. Right. So what it simply says is what we have here. We have the green pentagon that you normally see in our charts, and then we have the red pentagon. The green pentagon will actually give you what we call the up signal, right? And then the red pentagon gives you the down signal in here. So it helps new beginners, especially new millennium and new investor, rather than spending time on complicated charts, whatever. We give this chart to you, visual display, green up signal, red pentagon down signal. So it helps you to track some of these in here. And one of the best way to track them is actually helping up to set up in your watch list. So our Pentagon guided system, which is created by myself in here, part and parcel of our TradeVSA stock trade idea that we are following based on the work of my Sifu, Mr. Tom Williams here, the creator of volume spread analysis. I know many of our USMART audience here may not heard of volume spread analysis, but this is perhaps you can find out more. You can always visit our website at tradevsa.com and find out more if you have time to know the story behind it and the methodology behind where the green pentagon and the red pentagon added in. That will tell you we have an up signal or down signal. That's how simple it is. Now, you can also follow me at facebook.com as Smart Robie in here. And of course, one of the things that I ask our member, especially the new one, is to set up your Smart Robie. Then you can set up the alert, right? When is the up signal come? Perhaps if you are following a certain stock, maybe like NVIDIA in here, when is that stock coming in? So you can download the Smart Robie app in here and set up your watch list today and just go into your S&P 500 exchange here and put in the NVIDIA stock. That's one example. And when there's a red pentagon, notification will come out on your mobile phone. You can check it in the morning or in the night twice a day. So you either get a green pentagon, which is an up signal, or you get a red pentagon, which is a down signal, all in your alert. And you can see from here, right, the alert is something that is notified in the apps in here, both available on the iOS and also on the Android. So go ahead and download it and make sure you key in the USMART referral code, and then you will get 100 credits. So from here, you can see the Pentagon alert here and the Pentagon alert for the red Pentagon in here. All right. So this is definitely an opportunity for you to download the apps tonight in here. Make sure you key in the referral code USMART and you'll get 100 bonus Smart Robie credit, right? For only new users. So USMART audience, go ahead and do it in here. So finally, my message for the US market is slightly mixed right now with the backdrop of what we're seeing in the Middle East conflict, and also not forgetting the second year already, which is the Russian-Ukraine war. I'm going to think we're going to go on to the third year and the fourth year, and this is going to be ongoing. Because of the Middle East conflict that we are having in here, two sectors are the commodities and the oil and gas will do slightly better, right? Then the next sector that everyone is talking about will be technology sector. It's going to be rather sideways because we have also the chips crackdown, which is the US is banning all the big, what we call chip making machines from ASML. You know about those big machine that can do the 7 microns and below. We all know about the Huawei mid-60s with the 7 microns and using the Kirin chips in here manufactured by them. Still ongoing, another investigation in here. And in terms of recession or not, one of the key things you want to watch out for the next coming months or quarter is the US corporate earnings. And of course, this coming week, I believe there is a slew of earnings in here. And in USMART apps, there is a calendar that you can watch some of the US earnings in here, some of the big tech stocks. But I can see for it, they may be a better result compared to Q3 in here. And last but not least is the US unemployment rate. Now, what we have seen so far in the coming month to month, US employment continued to be very, very strong. So that is likely, unlikely to cause what we call a hard landing or recession in here. My take will be definitely the earnings will be a bit mixed, but the US unemployment remain to be low, maybe paring just below 4% in here. All right. And then number 4 will be US Feds. Now, a lot of things we said about the CPI figures, which is the inflation, continue to be high in here. And because the inflation is high, there is a lot of talk about the another interest rate, another 25 basis point. But I think my speaker, Mr. Kevin Dunn, is going to cover more on the interest rates. So I'll leave it here. My opinion is that I think the US Fed may have done with all the necessary rate hikes for 2023. 2024 is another story altogether. But on the backdrop of what we see for 2024 might be different. So for tonight's stock trade idea, I only have 4 for you in here just to keep it simple. One of them is energy. Definitely I like is XOM, which is ExxonMobil, oil and gas. The other one is technology with fintech will be Visa, right? Because we are seeing also resurgency in terms of people buying. Visa do pay a little bit of dividend in here. That's good. And again, the generative AI and also the cloud, you want to be looking into Microsoft, right? And of course, not to forget the consumer electronics will be on Apple, but you need to wait for the Green Pentagon. GP stand for Green Pentagon in here. Now, once you downloaded the Smart Robie apps, if you haven't gone to the charts, this is how the charts will look like. You can see we have the Green Pentagon and the Red Pentagon. Green Pentagon is an up signal, Red Pentagon go up. So what this simply saying is right now, ExxonMobil is moving in a sideway, okay, sideway market as you have seen. But I do take that in the coming months, in the November to April, it may result into a new trend, and perhaps if we do start a new trend, that's going to be good. But recently, we just have another red pentagon, so we are seeing this is a down signal in here. Perhaps we have a strong strength support here at 107. Yeah, okay, keep in mind. So next one is Visa, and you can see also very similar resistance at 248 in the US dollar here. Right now, we have this red pentagon in here, but you also have a support in here. As soon as you hit this support, the green pentagon comes out, so you might just wait for the green pentagon. And for our Muslim friend, okay, check out the last tutorial that I did on the live Facebook on Friday. I talk about the halal stock. This is somewhere you can get to find out whether Visa or ExxonMobil is halal or not. There's a website I talk about in here. But if not, join me on Friday for our Smart Robie US at 10:15 on my live Facebook, Smart Robie in here at facebook.com/smartrobie. And you probably can follow what I talk about in here. And then finally, we have Microsoft MSFT. So again, no doubt, just turn red pentagon also in here, but holding up this nice level. If it does turn a green pentagon, GP here somewhere soon, right? I do think that this market is going to take off based on the reason that I just talked about in here. And finally, also Apple also turned red pentagon in here. You can see they do have a nice support here around the 169 in here. And again, you might want to wait for the green pentagon to designate your entry in here. Of course, there are more things in Smart Robie in here. I suggest you downloaded it, look into the FAQ. There's a lot of tutorial in here. Or go over to facebook.com/smartrobie and like it, and you'll be informed of any of a new activity. And of course, you can continue to follow us every Friday at 10:15 in the morning at Facebook, fb.com/smartrobie with the US market in here. And for those of you who are looking to open up an account, especially from our TradeVSA fans inside there, right? You can also go and use this, log in and download the USMART apps from the iOS or the Google Store, and make sure you key in the invitation code NYVJPA, and you earn another 400 credit. Lots of great goodies, right? For all our friends and audience in here, and you can improve your knowledge. One of the things that we share in here. So I think that's all I have for this evening before I pass the floor to Kevin, all right, Tan from USMART in here. And for those of the USMART members, if you want to know more about the things that we do, you can join our Telegram chat room with all free stock market information in here. We focus, this Telegram is focused more on the Malaysian market in here. Just keep note about it in here. But if you just wanted to learn about the overall approach, what we do for Pentagon Guider and TradeVSA, this is something for you to get more information at t.me/TradeVSA Trading Ideas. That's a QR code. You can join the Telegram group, or you can visit our website at tradevsa.com. Okay, so that's all I have for this evening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for our members who came through our live Facebook and also the USMART. I appreciate your time spent in here, and I'll pass the floor to Kevin. All right, Kevin, you there? I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, Martin, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you so much. So, just trying to test my screen. Just curious, will you be able to see my?
Yes, I can see your screen, but it's a bit narrow. Yes, now better.
Yeah. Okay, now it's better.
Yep. That's good.
So I just want to start by thank you Martin for having me on your talk show today. Martin is obviously a very seasoned investor, and is a privilege of mine to be able to work with Martin. So my name is Kevin. I'm actually from USMART. So before I just go into sharing some of the view today, I will share a little bit on what is USMART, and who am I exactly, right? So USMART, we are a financial institution. We are licensed across a couple of countries, and at the very core of our business, we are largely a brokerage service. And Chow Tai Fook, which is one of the leading jewelry companies, is actually our cornerstone investor. So here are some of the licenses that we hold in Singapore, Hong Kong, and New Zealand. So in addition to brokerage services, we also hold the fund management service. And that is also some of the things that I personally is involved in. So just a very quick introduction about myself. I'm an investment analyst in USMART. Concurrently, I also provide portfolio management services for our accredited investors. I have a couple of years of investing in the US as well as Hong Kong market. And personally, I'm quite an active trader in the options market, especially the US one, where I see a lot of liquidity. Right, so today my sharing will be a little bit more macro on why US is a great market. I believe this is something that Martin believes in as well. Yeah. So a common question that I often receive is why should we be optimistic of investing in the US market? Isn't the US market on a high side already? Why not invest in Southeast Asia, right? And what I'm trying to do here is basically try to share with you that, the US market actually represents almost 40% of the global equity market share. And what that means is also a couple of things. Number one, that is substantial liquidity, where, you can easily enter and exit a position relative to other countries. And secondly, it also shows that generally among investors, especially institutional investors, there is more interest in this market, right? So if you were to take a comparison, Singapore represents just 0.6% of the global market share. So obviously, for Singapore STI market, we all know that it has been flat for many years, and I think a big part of the reason is because they actually garner a very small part of the global equity market share, right? And the other reason is, I would say, is that, the top 10 companies in the world are all listed on US exchange. So investing through the US exchange is the best way to gain exposure to these great quality companies. If you look into these 10 companies here, 9 out of 10 of them are actually on the US market. So I would believe that these are great companies to gain exposure to, and you are missing a great deal if you don't invest in the US market. Historically, since the Great Depression, I think it's been pretty obvious that the US market generally have great return. Out of almost 100 years of backtesting or 90 over years of backtesting, close to 70 years we see positive return for the S&P 500 since the Great Depression. And, you know, in quite a number of cases, we see double-digit returns, right? So I believe that this is one great market for any investor to gain exposure to. And I think there may be a lot of fear right now that, you know, maybe the US market has been overextended, where, you know, a lot of people are talking about valuations being very high, right? But what I'm trying to share with you here is that even if you get the wrong timing, right? Let's say even if you buy at the peak of the 2020 COVID pandemic, you are still making positive gain today, right? Or even if you buy at the dot-com burst or the peak of the market before the global financial crisis, you are still up today. So what I'm trying to share with you is that, you know, market timing is important, but at the same time, I think it's more important to also stay invested, because historically, US equities will actually give you positive return even in the long run. And obviously, having better timing can give you better return. But even if your timing is bad, it does not mean that you will lose money, because over the long term, we do see an uptrend in the US market. So the question is, how has the US market performed this year and where we see opportunities? So this data may be a little bit outdated because I did the slides last week. But if you were to look at the S&P 500 return so far, generally it's up this year between 13 to 15%, with major contribution from the technology sector and underperformance in consumer staple, energy, utility, real estate, and healthcare, right? So anybody that has exposure to technology would be very happy this year, and the rest would kind of lag the market. And our view is that generally interest rate will still continue to remain high until end of next year. In fact, I think based on the December meeting for the Fed meeting, generally the market participant right now, they are split on the decision of whether they will raise interest rate, although a greater proportion actually think that our interest rate will be kept constant, right? So I believe that in the next couple of months, interest rate should stay between 5.25% to 5.75%. And our view right now is basically that it is a great time to gain exposure to consumer staple. And one of the way you can do it is through this consumer staple ETF, XLP. So if you look at the top holdings for XLP, there are some of your really great quality companies, including Procter & Gamble, Costco, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and Colgate, right? And the question you may ask is, why consumer staple and why right now? So the reason is because generally, I think we still have some level of interest rate risk, right? Especially if we see a rate hike next 2 months, there will be a very big negative surprise for the investor, because right now it is not a clear certainty that they will not raise interest rate. And generally, consumer staple is less sensitive to changes in interest rate. And the second reason is that generally we see a recent allocation out of this sector by the institutional investor. And we believe this will represent great buying opportunity because of a few reasons. Number one, most of the consumer staple companies within this XLP, they generally have strong pricing power. So if you look at Coca-Cola earnings yesterday, inflation was not a big deal for them because they still managed to raise their prices. And as a result, they actually beat the market expectation. So we are expecting that a lot of the consumer staple companies to be of a similar trend. So the recent allocation out is actually overreaction by the market. And the third reason is also the fact that we do believe that a lot of this company will continue to report growing earnings in the coming years, coming 1 to 2 years, as they are strong brand name that can actually maintain their pricing power. So from a chart perspective, and historically this fund has actually provided great returns for investor. Probably not the kind of trading returns that you may be used to, but for a conservative investor, typically they are giving you between 8 to 8.5%. And with the recent drawdown, I believe that the long-term return could be closer to 9 to 10% if you get in at the current price. From a chart perspective, we do see that right now XLP is trading at a very strong support level. They are trading at the 200 MA from a weekly chart. And historically, XLP tend to bounce off the 200 MA whenever they touch upon this level. So we have seen several instances in the past couple of years. We see it once in 2018. We see it again in 2019, 2020, and right now I think this is the fourth time that we are seeing it in 2023, right? And it does not happen often, but every time when it happens, they typically tend to bounce off this 200 MA support level, right? So we believe this is a great opportunity, and I don't know how long this will last, but generally, if I were to put my money somewhere, I think this is a great place to put my money. Yeah, and yeah, that's it for my sharing today. Yeah. Maybe I'll just pass the time back to you, Martin.
All right, thank you. That was Kevin from USMART, that's right. So now we open up the floor for questions, both from the USMART as well as our Facebook in here. Any questions so far for Kevin and myself? As I said before, this is actually a very good opportunity right now to look into the market like you've never seen before. As I said before, presenting the facts that we see in the coming month of November, December, January, on top of what Kevin was talking about, the ETF XLP is showing a very, very strong bounce off from the 200-day moving average in here. Am I correct? So I think that's really a good opportunity to be looking at. And of course, to check out more of our video in here, you can always go down to the Smart Robie apps. You can download it. Maybe just show you one more time here how you can download our apps. Right, is use this code that you see in here, and a lot of our information that we normally present in terms of the charts, of the FA, it's all available in here. All right, if there's no, yes, we have a question here. Can I replay this video? Of course. You can always replay this video. You can go to the Facebook, okay, for those of you at the facebook.com/Martin Wong, right? That's or you can go to youtube.com/TradeVSA or fb.com/SmartRobie. Either way, you're able to access any of this video in it. And of course, if you have any question, I encourage our member to join our so-called Telegram channel in here, and you can post questions in the comment for anything that we talk about. All right. If there's no question for Kevin and myself, we will stop here. Okay, we got one more question. If there's no question for myself and Kevin in here, we would like to express our gratitude, our thank you to all our audience, both from the TradeVSA in the live Facebook, and also those of you who came from USMART. Don't forget to download Smart Robie in here, or check it out from the Google and Apple Play Store. Just type Smart Robie, SMART, ROBIE. So that's all I have, and good night. And I hope I'll be seeing you, especially our new USMART audience, as my new friends, and also for our TradeVSA FB to check out USMART and make sure you use that invitation code NYVJPA to open up your account. Thank you. That's all, and good night. Thanks a lot, Kevin, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.